Thank you very much, everyone, and a warm welcome to our webinar on the access to the European Advanced Infrastructure for Micro and Nano-Electronics provided by ASCENT Plus project. So I will start this session. I will introduce our speakers. The first item on our agenda today is the introduction of the project, ASCENT Plus, and the RTO offers, which will be provided by Georgios Fagas, the head of CMOS++ and EU programs, and the coordinator of ASCENT Plus project from Tyndall National Institute Islands. Then I will go ahead and I will present you very briefly the general benefits for the SMEs provided by the project. And myself, I'm the European project manager at Silicon Saxony from Germany, and we are happy to be part of this project. Then my presentation will be followed by the brief overview of the IP's protection, so IPR protection, and the application process provided by Tony Mendron, who is Director for Micro and Nanotechnology at Nanologic France. And then we will have a very interesting testimonial provided by one of our companies that ASCENT Plus has provided access already to. This is Fernando Gonzalez Salva from Quantum Motion from UK, who will share his feedback on the collaboration with the project. And at the end, we will have a Q&A session. So please pose all your question, remarks, and comments at the chat session, and we will come back to it at the very end of this session. So I'm very happy to give the floor to Georgios to present the ASCENT Plus and the offers provided by the RTOs in this project. Georgios, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Alessia, for this very nice introduction. And it is indeed my pleasure to present today the ASCENT Plus program and how you may get access to key European infrastructure for micro and nano electronics. The ASCENT Plus program is a program that is, it has a long history. It's been running for 4+2 years now as ASCENT Plus. In the second phase of ASCENT Plus, the program funded by the European Union brings together 14 partners in total. And among those partners, there is 5 key European research infrastructures. There is 5 key universities that help us to work with the access providers, with the research infrastructures to push the state of the art in what is offered. And then we have 4 major networks, industry and research networks, Nano Institute, and also Nanologic, Silicon Saxony, and Midas Ireland as part of the Silicon Europe Alliance that help us to interact and interface with potential users of this research infrastructure. Now, to motivate a little bit the program, let me just say that we all know that if we are to progress on research, deep tech research on the micro nano electronics and make things, it does require long times and significant investments. And it is very challenging to have access to state-of-the-art equipment and tools, and also access to state-of-the-art platform technologies, as well as the expertise to operate these tools and interface with these platform technologies. So in this context, ASCENT Plus has brought together the access provider of Tyndall, IMEC, Leti, the Iberian Nanotechnology Laboratory, INL, a joint venture between Portugal and Spain, and also the Fraunhofer Microelectronic, which is an umbrella organization of 11 Fraunhofer institutes in the microelectronic area. To make access easy. We do that through the virtual showroom and the access interface. So we have we make access easy to these access providers through the virtual showroom and the access interface team. And Tony will mention a little bit later what we mean by making access easy for the academic and industry researchers. But before doing that, I'll talk a little bit more about the toolbox that we have put together through these access providers for the micro nanoelectronics community in Europe. What we are doing in this second phase of the program that is running between 2020 and 2023, roughly, is to look at what are the technology drivers for micro nanoelectronics, and these are, looking at yes, more aggressive scaling, but under the constraints of lower power and high performance, but also looking at beyond your typical materials and device architectures for integration with the CMOS. So in advanced logic and memory, but also bringing in the functional diversion, which is coming through integration of heterogeneous components, or a heterogeneous integration overall. And with a glimpse into the future, and Fernando will give us, I believe, a very nice introduction into that later, is to look at the, what the future of computing might be, and bring in quantum technologies, in particular quantum computing, and how we can actually use the infrastructure to promote the solid state quantum computing. So these are the technology drivers, and then what Aascent Plus is doing is it brings on the table the key enabling capabilities to match those technology drivers, and that means we are bringing to the table through these access providers the characterization and metrology tools. We bring in the required processing, and we bring in the required modeling, and also test devices. So, and just to give an overview of what this sample of this ASCENT Plus toolbox is, we have 16 clean rooms with approximately 30,000 square meters brought together, and the tools are that can be accessed are part of this distributed facility, and they are belong perhaps in terms of a toolbox under the nanofabrication, under the characterization suite, and also they are well advanced technology platforms that can be accessed to experiment with, or to develop complementary devices and materials on those platforms. As an example, in the nanofabrication, we have the Tyndall FlexiFab for non-standard processing. We have the IMEX gallium nitride IC platform. We have access to through the Fraunhofer microelectronic, access to the deposition tools for memory stacks, but also access to diamond growth for solid state quantum technologies. And then in the characterization, there is a full range of characterization suite. Particularly, I would mention the Lattice electrical test labs and nano characterization platform, as well as INL's state-of-the-art electron microscopy and spectroscopy. And in terms of the platform technologies, we have a full range of platform technologies there from the various access providers. And I'm not going to go into great detail. What I would like to focus on is, okay, the incentive that is given from the European Commission to access this state-of-the-art infrastructure through what is called transnational access program and projects, in particular individual projects. So these projects are free of charge. They are short focused projects for where a user can inquire to access one or more of the offerings that were in the previous slide at a single or a multiple facility that was on the previous slide, either on site or remotely. In some cases, it can only be done remotely. You can understand that there are some constraints, but in some other cases, you can also visit the labs and work together with the experts on site. And I go back to these transnational access projects and emphasize that they are fully free of charge, and even the visits are subsidized to work with the experts. In terms of who can access these facilities, we are open to the world. In the first phase, there were 100 projects available to researchers from 30 countries. In this second phase, for the last just 18 months or so, we have 7 projects that have been already committed, and these are benefiting over 170 researchers worldwide. Now, before handing over to Alessia and Tony there, I would like just to, in one snapshot, mention, okay, why engage with the ASCENT Plus Transnational Access Program. I think the main reasons is really the opportunity to collaborate with the major RTOs in Europe, and through that collaboration access the state-of-the-art equipment and the unique platform technologies that these RTOs have spent decades, centuries of research essentially accumulated to develop. And this can be done altogether free of charge. So we will be happy to engage with you and get you access to one of these access providers. With that, Alessia, I think I can hand over back to you.
Yes, thank you very much, Georgos. So I would then proceed to the next slide.
Do you want me to change? I can stop sharing from this side.
No, that's fine, because I just have 2 slides. Okay, that's okay. Good. Thank you. Just please go ahead.
Okay.
Yes, thank you very much. Once again, you could go to the next slide, please. Yes, with this brief overview of the general problems that SMEs can encounter during conducting their R&D activities, I would like you to present what we could also offer as solution and what could be the benefits for SMEs while collaborating with the project. So we all know that the SMEs, and we have heard around as well that some companies working in microelectronics and nanoelectronics have a set of challenges to encounter. One of them could be, of course, that there is a need for testing of new components, devices, or materials, or that certain process steps with low yield need to be identified. So of course, for this, what ASCENT Plus can offer for free, as Georgios has already mentioned, would be then testing of novel devices, components without acquiring this expensive equipment and hiring extra staff to work on that, because as Georgios has already given a hint of, that there is always a local support from each of the RTOs, starting from 2 weeks and more, to support you accessing the specific equipment and technologies that you need. For this, of course, from this, of course, you get the benefit of processes optimization and increase of the yield, which could also bring you to the cost saving and as a consequence to increase profitability. The same concerns testing of new materials for application and optimization, which are quite rare and expensive and cannot be reached so easily by startups, especially, and small and medium enterprises. So what ASCENT Plus can offer is, of course, testing those rare and expensive materials for free without jeopardizing the state-of-the-art processes and acquiring such materials. So we are talking again about cost saving and possibility to test before invest. And of course, that enables also innovation. As I mentioned already, you can test the new generation devices, which leads to advanced simulation to reduce the number of iterations in the prototyping plan. And if you need a specific equipment or technique to process or characterize a device, this can be offered as well for free in the project. One of other needs that we heard about from our companies is that often you have to test analysis and analyze a specific behavior characteristics of some materials, identified while testing also devices. So for this, of course, as well, as I mentioned earlier, we can offer extensive expertise and available equipment and materials for partners, so that this can bring them to the next level of analysis in their processes. This, of course, enables the deep understanding of physical origin of certain processes. Next slide, please. Here, I will just give you a quick recap of the benefits, of the direct benefits for the companies who could take part in the project. So it's a free of charge access to exclusive equipment and extensive expertise of the renowned European RTOs. It's time efficient. The projects are typically short term, with support of the local experts, helping you to work on specific technologies with you. The projects last from 2 weeks to several months. It is cost saving through testing novel devices and rare expensive materials without acquiring them, so that you could test them before investing in them. The project, of course, supports the feasibility studies. It helps optimizing and increasing the yield by testing separate process steps without jeopardizing the in-company ongoing processes. It helps, of course, to analyze in depth the nature of certain physical processes, and it's all happening under the full protection of IPR that my colleague Tony will explain in the next slides. So just to give a final statement, that this, of course, stimulates the innovation, helps to increase profitability, and gaining in-depth competences and knowledges. Saying that, I would like to hand over to my colleague from Minalogic, Tony. The floor is yours on explaining the IP protection in ASCENT Plus. Thank you.
Thank you, Alicia. And good afternoon to everybody. So I will present the issue related to the, I would say, the IP or the confidentiality of entering the program. This is one of the main points that previous users cared about. Okay, because when you enter this program, you want to go to an RTO place in order to make some characterization or some film deposition of a new material. I don't know, as Alesia has explained already. So you care, of course, about the confidentiality along the whole process of the program. For instance, when you send your sample to the RTO for the analysis and so on. Okay, and one of the other point that previous users of the program ask to us is what's the what's the timing for the role process to of entering the program? Of course, is it time consuming and so on? Okay, so this is what I will explain here on a couple of slides. So you have to know that the result generated and the IP generated by the transnational access project is owned by the user. So I think you already explained, Gorgios or Alesia, transnational means that when you are a SME or large enterprise from one country, for instance, in France, you cannot go to Leti. Okay, it means that you have to go to see another RTO outside of France. Okay, one of the points you have to keep in mind is that after this process of transnational access, when it is completed, you will be encouraged, I don't know how to say that, to give feedbacks, okay, to identify the good and bad practices you encountered during the process in order to improve the future user experience. Okay, you can leave also some testimonials, and some of them you can do it on webinar, like we will have at the end of this webinar with Fernando. You will be also encouraged to publish results in scientific journal. Okay, of course, if this is possible for SME, because sometimes you won't be able to disclose the result of the analysis, okay, of the experience of the experiment you made at the RTO. Okay, okay, so this is the point. Next slide, please. So the process, the application process, has been displayed here on this slide. It's very long to. Okay, okay. So I will explain it in detail on the next slide. But what basically you have to do is to sign up in order to join the network. Okay, so then you make an inquiry, okay, technical one, which and you discuss it with relevant experts in the I would say ASCENT network. Then you will submit a detailed application, kind of technical proposal, but don't be afraid, it's not too long. I will explain afterwards. Then your proposal is sent to a selection panel. If the selection panel is if the light is green, you will access the program ASCENT Plus, okay, and you will go to the RTO place with your sample, for instance, if you want to analyze some of your device or I don't know material, and then you will give result and feedback to the interface team. Okay, so there is two types of access. There is a physical visit that is possible, or a remote access. The virtual access, correct me if I'm wrong, Gorgios, it's the one that you can do with only software. If you ask for software facilities
and data sets also that has been produced through the metrology tools, yeah. So
Okay.
data sets are available through virtual access.
Okay. So basically, this is what you have to do. So please, the next slide. So, okay. Okay. So the inquiry form for the ASCENT Plus, the first step in the process is basically to fill this form. So it's a very short description of requested access. So you have to fill the contact details and send it to ASCENT Plus single point of contact. Once again, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's 1 or 2 pages form. It's very short, so don't be afraid to to fill it. Okay, and this will kick off the discussion between the user and the point of contact at Tyndall, for instance. And it will help to identify the most suitable facility or RTO facility when a SME is asking an access for a specific task. I don't know how to say that. Okay, next slide, please. Then after this inquiry form, yeah, it's very long. Oh, there is a, I don't know what is the text in the floating in the middle of the slide, but anyway, then you have to oh, okay. Okay. Then the next step is to make the proposal preparation. Okay, this is a technical short 3 pages, if I remember, proposal that will describe the I would say the agreement on access and required effort. Okay, because of course you will ask the RTO access for one of your needs, but of course you will need with the point of contact to define the effort. Okay, this is something you will prepare with the technical point of contact. And the proposal will include the proposed innovation, okay, the expected outcome of your project, and the access planning. Okay, next slide. Okay, so this is a slide we added to the presentation, and it has been done because of the feedback we have from the previous users of the program. So what you may care about is what is the cost for my company if I enter the program. Okay, of course, you will have to dedicate a time of your engineer in order to fill in the form I presented before, to prepare sample you will send to the RTO. Probably your engineer will need to go to the RTO when, for instance, it will have the slot for the characterization of the device or the material you want to characterize. Okay, so there is 2 cases here, one without on the top of the slide and the other one with ASCENT Plus program. Okay, so what you need to know is that first, the confidentiality is kept all along the processes, okay, without and with ASCENT Plus program, as you can see. But in the case where you don't use ASCENT Plus, for instance, your SME, you need to go to see, I don't know, Leti or IMEC, and because you need I give an example, you need to use a transmission or TEM microscope in order to make a fine analysis of device failure you have, for instance. Okay, if you don't use the ASCENT Plus program, you will have to dedicate a time of your engineer to fill the form you need you will be asked by the RTO to fill. Okay, so it will be time consuming for your engineer, and then you will have to pay, of course, the service that the time or the price of the TEM the RTO will use for you to for analyzing your sample. Okay, so I'm originally from COALITY, so I know the price of such an analysis. Okay, it could be a couple of dozen of thousand euro. Okay, so of course, if you use Aascent Plus, and this is the bottom of the slide, you can see that you will have an intermediate step entering the program, as I explained before. Okay, but in that case, your engineer will have also to fill the different form for the Aascent Plus program in the same way he would have done. Sorry, if he did not use the Aascent Plus program. Okay, but then so the main point is that the characterization or the slot at the RTO, you will be paid by the program. This is what my colleague also, Alicia, explained. It is free of charge up to a certain amount, of course. As far as I remember, it's up to a couple of person week, okay, of an RTO. Okay, so it will cover basically something like between, I would say, 30 and 50,000 euro of the characterization, for instance. Okay, so at the end, using the Aascent Plus program, you will be a winner because you will save money compared to the usual process without using Aascent Plus. Okay, and the other point, of course, is that in the Aascent Plus, if you need a very if your demand is I don't know how to say. If you need to have this access very fast because you need fast characterization, for instance, because your R&D or your production will depend on the result of the characterization you made at the RTO, you must know that the Aascent Plus can be very fast. Also, the whole process, and it could be probably almost as fast as if you contact directly the RTO instead. Okay, so in the end, every SME should use this program if they need some RTO services. Okay, because in the end you will save a lot of money. Okay, so this is my main point here, and this is where I will conclude. Probably there is another slide, but it's only next slide, please. It's only a reminder of the different yes, it's only a reminder of the different website you can have in mind in order to be for the program. Sorry, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Tony, for your comprehensive and very interesting explanations. And now we would like to hear actually the testimonial from the company Quantum Motion from the UK, who has gone through the process and will share their experience, perhaps challenges. And we would like to hear your feedback and your introduction, Fernando. Thank you very much. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Alisa, and thank you, Yorgos, for inviting me to give Quantum Motion's testimonial about our usage of Aascent Plus. So let me see if you see the presentation now. Yeah.
Yes.
It should be working. Good. Yeah, so I'm going to talk about my experience with Aascent Plus, generally very positive, I would say. But I would like to go through the story a little bit with you to tell you the benefits that we've noticed about this program. First of all, introduce myself. I'm Fernando González Alba, head of quantum computing hardware at Quantum Motion Technologies. And to say that Quantum Motion Technologies, for those of you that doesn't know, we are a UK-based startup that focuses on developing quantum computing hardware. We are users of the ASCENT Plus program through a number of projects, and we have found it to deliver very fast and easy access value to state-of-the-art research expertise and equipment. And I wanted to tell you the experience and give you a view of the success that we've obtained with this program, and also encourage others, other companies and other members to utilize ASCENT Plus to write their own success stories. Very good. Let me see if I can move forward. Yes, so today I had planned several things that I wanted to tell you. First of all, I will start telling a bit more about Quantum Motion. So we put the collaboration with ASCENT Plus into perspective. So I'll tell you about our proposition and our business model that it's really important in understanding the story and the benefits to us of using ASCENT Plus. And then I will tell you why we use the program and give you details about our projects, and also summarize the general benefits that we found with our own experience. Yes, first of all, we are a UK-based startup, fast growing and focused on developing silicon-based quantum hardware. And we spun out of the University College London and University of Oxford back in 2017. And since then, we've grown substantially fast to more than 40 people now, raising more than £20 million in public and private investment, and also have been named top startups worth watching in 2021 and now 2022 by the EE Times. And we work on developing quantum computers, the hardware of quantum computers. And why? For those of you that are not familiar with quantum computers, once we have a fully operational quantum computer, this will start to offer speed up over classical computing algorithms in tasks as varied as, for example, factorization into primes, that is fundamental to online security, searches in unstructured databases, and optimization problems that are used in the financial industry and in weather predictions, for example. But also, more importantly, quantum computers will be useful in simulating new chemicals, new medicines, and new materials. And the problem that the industry is facing at the moment is that building the hardware is substantially challenging. Controlling quantum systems is not straightforward. There are several platforms out there like superconducting qubits, Majorana, spin qubits, ion traps, and photonic qubits that are now moving from academic environments into SMEs and industries that are driving the effort on all these different platforms. And from our perspective, the thing is that without hardware, there are no quantum computers. No? So there is a necessity for nanofabrication facilities to develop this type of systems. And the proposition from Quantum Motion is that we believe that silicon, which has no par in the surface of Earth as the most advanced technology for classical computing, we believe that it can also be used for quantum computers. And the whole point of Quantum Motion is to develop a quantum computer, the hardware of it, based on the omnipresent silicon technology that's brought us to the digital era. So that's our focus, demonstrating that robust and scalable quantum computers can be made out of silicon, because if that's the case, like with other technologies that have happened in the past, it will become the dominant technology. You just have to picture radios, computers, memory devices, and photography devices, that all those technologies are now run with silicon technology in the backend. So at Quantum Motion, we focus on 3 areas of the development of a quantum computer. One is the industry manufacturable quantum circuits. The other is cryogenic electronics for quantum computing, but also for other applications like space research. And also we have a theory team for developing hardware-aware quantum algorithms. Most importantly for the talk today is that our business model is fabless. We are following the successful fabless approach that is used in the semiconductor industry that facilitated the boom of many new businesses around the microelectronic revolution. So separating design and validation from manufacturing, nanofabrication. And I think here we have the exact combination of how that's happening with quantum motion, taking care of the design and the validation, the testing of the devices, and utilizing Aascent Plus to access top RTOs in the European environment to manufacture some of the technology that goes into that quantum computer. So, and that's it. No, we see ourselves as an R&D hub for silicon quantum computing, and as such, because not everything is done, we need to undertake some research and feasibility studies to assess new materials and new processes that may be applied to quantum computing. Having access to top RTOs through Aascent Plus is a substantial benefit and advantage to us. So to say that through the Aascent Plus program application, we requested access and were given access to atomic layer deposition facilities and to a series of nanofabrication steps, including, most importantly, state-of-the-art electron beam lithography at Tyndall, which is one of the program's access providers. Going a little bit more in detail, for our projects, we utilize Tyndall's Helionics 100 kilovolt electron beam lithography system, which is, as we found out, a very versatile tool for flexible prototyping, especially when you are not 100% sure of how your structure should be. Having rapid and flexible prototyping is essential. Also, we should be with high fidelity, reproducibility, and in some cases, even extreme resolution. With, most importantly for us, pattern-to-pattern alignment with tolerances down to 20 nanometers. Good. So what else would I say about Aascent Plus, which I could summarize here in this slide? Well, it's mainly advantages. It's first of all, the possibility to access free of charge state-of-the-art nanofabrication facilities. And not only that the application process to go through Aascent is simple and swift, and fast and streamlined 4-week application process. That it takes very little to get feedback on and then work on it to get it approved. And finally, I would like also to say that the interaction with the professionals that are taking part on the other side, on the RTO side, in this case Tyndall, is been excellent. We've always dealt with excellent professionals that have been working very hard to make our project a success. And I would say that this is the case for us, but it could be the case for others if they were to apply to the Aascent program. No? So I think I'm reaching the end of my presentation, and I just wanted to conclude to saying that we found very hard to believe that such a program existed. And that is in the sense that you get free access to top nanofabrication facilities across Europe. And that is funded by the European Union through Horizon 2020. And we have been granted access a couple of times to this program. And we plan to continue working with Aascent and with our collaborators at Tyndall. So that's all from my side. If you have any questions, I think we have a Q&A session later, but that's it from me.
Thank you very much, Fernando, for that such an inspiring explanation of your experience with Aascent Plus. I think that kind of motivates the other companies to access the offers of the RTOs in the project. And I think it's quite obvious that there are mainly the benefits even being in between the RTO and SME as intermediary, we still act fast and efficient and give all our time, and effort and expertise to support the SMEs on its R&D development. So thank you very much for that. Now we have some time left for questions. And as we haven't received anything in the chat, perhaps it could be an open discussion. So anyone who has any comment, any remark could just step in and ask the question. Thank you.
Maybe Alessia, while we give people the opportunity to move things over, right? Again, I thank Fernando for his wonderful presentation. I'll go back to one of the things that Tony mentioned in that very nice slide where he went through what's happening with and what's happening without ASCENT Plus. And I think Tony said, look, I mean, the main argument there is, the free of charge access. But in our experience, and I would like to point that out, is the easiness and to find out whether what you're requesting can be done and proceed with that inquiry is a very strong point of ASCENT Plus, because from our experience, even as users ourselves, sometimes at Tyndall, right? Also from talking to other colleagues and SMEs in particular, they knock on the door of people and they don't know who to approach, how to approach. They talk to one person and they find themselves essentially lost in corridors, or and they in the end they become dissuaded of accessing such big RTOs. Whereas with ASCENT Plus, we have a very nice, efficient process. Nicholas, who is on the call, helps with processing the inquiry. This is a one-page inquiry. It goes in very fast. We check the feasibility, and if we cannot do it through the ASCENT Plus program, we still provide an answer of how it might be done. Yeah, it's just much more efficient, and I would like just to point that out to the whole group here.
Yeah. So
Yes,
hello everyone.
Sorry. Go ahead, please.
I'm Philippe Cremant from Orioma. We are a small startup located near Grenoble, obviously the French Silicon Valley. For sure, this presentation is really interesting for us because we are dealing with some semiconductor technologies. I have a few questions. So, from what I understood, there's a limited list of technologies that are reachable through ASCENT Plus. Am I right? I mean, you just listed a number of technologies, and
Philippe,
yeah.
I will have a first go at it, and then maybe maybe Nicholas or some of my other colleagues. No, Nicholas actually, who is the access interface person, can elaborate. We have at the moment at least 66 offers online on the showroom, and for access to over 100 tools and equipment. And one of the offers is just too large to break it down into, like the FlexiFab that was mentioned also by Fernando in his presentation. So I think the offer is already quite versatile. I I mean, unless something is very special, well, it is what we do is very specialized, right? But there's always more specialized than other things. Unless it's technically very, very challenging, or you might not find something that suits your needs. But in any case, even if what we have is not on, the formal offer, you will still get an answer of whether that might be feasible within one of the RTOs. And in fact, what we are looking at is feedback for potential users like yourself of what else to bring on offer. Okay, so even if we don't have it there and might be available somewhere within our RTOs, we might consider to bring it within the ASCENT Plus program and make it available.
Okay, so, thank you for this answer. What is the level of what I would call transnationality? I mean, so from what I understood, but just want to be sure, as we are located in France, we have only access to ASCENT Plus to non-French RTOs. Am I right?
That's correct.
Okay. And then I have another question. So this is a European big project, let's say, ASCENT Plus. Are there some other platform like that out of Europe? Obviously, I'm mainly thinking to USA. Is there a kind of ASCENT Plus to access a technology platform from USA?
Well, ASCENT Plus is actually only for access from anywhere from Europe and elsewhere. And I see there is also a question in the chat. So it's open to non-European researchers as well. So including academic institutes to European infrastructure, but not the other way around. So we don't have anyone within ASCENT Plus from outside European. So I don't think that, well, at least within ASCENT Plus, we wouldn't be able to facilitate that, to access European. Yeah.
Okay.
Such program probably exists, but they're supported by the American government, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I would have a look and do my homeworks on Google for this part.
So I think, Georgios, you have already answered the question which was in the chat. If the projects from Indian academic institutes could be accepted, and the answer was yes.
Yes, and I know Fernando needs to leave at sharply in 1 minute. So if there is a question for Fernando, that would be a good time to ask.
And I think if not, then of course you will receive the presentation where the contact details of Fernando will be included, and you can have a quick discussion with him on his experience and accessing the program. If you have any specific question, you can ask it later on.
Okay, what is the general lead time? I mean, for you, for example, Fernando, what was the lead time between your request and the start of the job?
Hi, Philippe. Thanks for the question. From the moment that we wrote the proposal until it was accepted, the last one, if I recall correctly, is certainly less than 4 weeks. So it's
wow.
That thing's good.
Wow, very good. Thank you.
And of course, when we start, we can kick off the project, Philippe, depending on your needs, and then we can synchronize, how to to run the project.
Yes,
Very
that's a very tailor-made approach, and that's why it's really important that you submit the technical inquiry to the single entry point, which is ASCENT Plus and Tyndall in that case, and they will support you to find the right solution and the right RTO. But yes, the process is quite fast and effective. So I think we can let Fernando go. Thank you very much, Fernando, for your comprehensive introduction and motivation. I think that you were able to convey to apply for the project. Thank you. And anyone who has any question can still contact you later on.
Thank you, and thanks to Aascent.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye. So if we have any question left, we can address it now. If not, then the presentation will be shared. And of course, you can come back later on regarding any specific request that you have. And of course, the recording will be made available. So you can still have time to have a look again, to process the information, to try and check how the website works and find the right modality to access the program, either virtual, online, or like remote or physical access. And all of them are supported by the project. So I think if we have no questions, Georgos, we could probably close this session.
Yeah. Thanks, Alessia. I think we are good, and yeah, we will share. I think Nicholas will share the presentations later on.
To everyone who has subscribed for this webinar. So thank you very much for all participants, and looking forward to getting any question, comments, and actually exceeding the project. So have a good evening, everyone, and goodbye.
Thank you.
Take
Bye-bye,
care,
thank
everyone.
you.
Bye.